guys, welcome to Check Your Litter TV, and today we're going to be doing a review of Piano Wargames printable, 3D printable miniatures. Also talk about Piano Wargames miniatures in general, what's available. You can get metal miniatures from Piano Wargames as well as files to print your own. Also have a bit of a chat about Henry Turner miniatures. They've just released a new Kickstarter. Europe Asunder, the 100 Days campaign, so essentially files for printing 6mm Napoleonic British, French, Prussians and associated allies from the 100 Days campaign. And also a bit of a add-on to a review I did recently of What a Cowboy. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk to you about today is just a bit of a catch-up on a review I did of What a Cowboy. Now, when I did the review of What a Cowboy, I gave it a score, and it was a pretty healthy score as well. But for some inexplicable reason, I overlooked the fact that What a Cowboy also has a campaign system in it. And it's a very good campaign system, and it's adaptable not only just to What a Cowboy, but if you are using Dead Man's Hand or any other kind of Western cowboy type of miniature game, you could take that that campaign system in What a Cowboy and you could plug it into that as well. I'm not going to change the score that I gave What a Cowboy on my review because I had taken that into account. I just hadn't alluded to it during the review. So I just wanted to make that known because it is part of the What a Cowboy rule set that I think really does make it that little bit more enjoyable to play and worth the asking price. So now, if you've seen my previous video, and I'll put a link in the description below, I did a review of the Price of Crowns Württemberg Kickstarter, which gave you cavalry, artillery, a few extra infantry, including Royal Guard infantry as well. When I became aware of that Kickstarter, I also then jumped on the previous Kickstarter, which gave you all the Württemberg infantry, including all the line infantry and light infantry, together with the Schützen. I think they're called Schützen in the Württemberg army. They might be called Jaeger. Regardless, the specialist light infantry as well as the Royal Guard, which are actually beautiful miniatures. If you're not into 3D printing, if you just want the miniatures in metal form, you can get them from Piano Wargames. But obviously my interest mainly lies in the STL files because I have a 3D printer and I like to print these miniatures in resin. The advantage of that, as I've alluded to before, is because they are 3D printable, they're also completely scalable. So you can print them in 18mm, 15mm, 20mm, 1/72 scale, or 28, or you can upscale them to 40mm. Regardless, they are really nice miniatures. The metal miniatures, I've not seen these miniatures in the metal, so to speak. I haven't bought them, but I have seen both images of them and also people who have painted these miniatures, and they are really exquisite. I compare them to Perry's. My go-to miniatures for 28mm Napoleonics are Perry's. I think that they're the best miniatures you can get. Obviously, that's completely subjective. Other people are great fans of Front Rank, and I I like front rank miniatures as well. I think they virtually paint themselves. But what I like so much about Perry's is the variety of poses, the variety of ranges, how complete and extensive the ranges are, and how anatomically correct they are. For me, miniatures like Front Rank and Old Glory, they look a little bit cartoonish, whereas the Perry miniatures, they look like miniature versions of what you would expect a human to look like. So with that in mind, when the Price of Crowns third Kickstarter came along, I jumped on that straight away, and I got the files. Now, the Price of Crowns 3 Kickstarter included troops from Wurzburg and Hesse-Darmstadt. With that, in the Hesse-Darmstadt range, which for 1806 to 1814, you also had the opportunity, the files came with both the early war bicorn type headdress, and then the headdress that they wore in Spain, that is the shako. So you had options there to print the miniatures and then print heads. The heads came separately, and you print off the heads and you put on the heads that you wanted. And really, really nice miniatures. Just so you know, the range covers Hessen-Darmstadt. That's a mouthful. Try saying that when you've had a few drinks. Hessen-Darmstadt line infantry, plus you had the command that went with them. You got skirmishing poses. You had Hesse-Darmstadt High Command. You got the Hesse-Darmstadt Garde de Corps and Chevalier Jaegers, obviously including command. And you got a Hesse-Darmstadt 6-pounder artillery with the detachment. And with all of these Piano Wargames ranges, you get casualties as well. So there's a casualty pack there as well. The High Command pack, it includes a mounted infantry officer. And also you get George of Hesse-Darmstadt and Emil of Hesse-Darmstadt. I think these are crown princes. As a bit of a bonus, when you back the Kickstarter, you also got access to Emperor Napoleon on horseback, and it really is a beautiful miniature of Napoleon on Marengo. That was the Hesse-Darmstadt miniatures. For the Wurzburg set, I'm just looking at here on my iPad now. You've got the Wurzburg High Command, the Line Infantry, the elite companies, so the Light Infantry and Grenadiers. You got the Württemberg Dragoons and Dragoon Commands, and you got a Wurzburg 6-pounder and casualties again. I'll show you now some of the Wurzburg miniatures I'm actually working at the moment on, painting them up. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to show you these Wurzburg Napoleonic 3D printable miniatures. These ones I've printed off, and I've basically undercoated in using a bone-colored spray. So I printed them out initially in a grey resin. I've sprayed them with a bone color and then dry brushed with white. As you can see, obviously they're a long way from completed, but I did want to just get them out here to show you some of the detail on these 3D printed miniatures. Okay, so that is an elite company fella. You can tell by the plume on his helmet. Here is an officer in the process of drawing his sword. Okay. A standard bearer now. as you can see, the level of detail is pretty good. Now, here's a drummer. I replaced the head with a Perry's head. I had a spare Perry's head. I think it's a Perry's. So I could have a bare-headed drummer. The miniature comes, the drums are cast separately, and so you then have to attach the drum. Here's a non-commissioned officer for you, an NCO. Obviously urging the lads on. Here's an example of the drums that have a print. So there's a drum that I've printed off, and then that's simply attached to the miniature. Attaching it's no problem at all. There's a hole at the appropriate place on the miniature, and it just slots in there. And then basically just a typical line infantryman. And again, I really like the fact that you get casualties as well, because I like to play General d'Armée, and I use the casualties. I put them on a base with a little dice frame, and I use that to track my casualties that my units are taking during the game. Now, no sooner had that Kickstarter came out than another came out called The Alps of Flame, the Tyrolean Rebellion of 1809. And that is another fantastic Kickstarter. Again, you can get these miniatures in metal, or you can get the 3D printable files. With the Tyrolean Rebellion miniatures, obviously you get the rebels, and obviously you want the opponents to go against them, which included the Bavarians. But you also get some Austrian troops as well. So I'll just go through exactly what you get here. Okay, so amongst the Tyroleans, you get officers of the Tyrolean Rebellion. So you get a Bavarian officer, an Austrian officer, a Tyrolean officer. You get Tyrolean captains and command figures, personalities of the rebellion, Landstrom fighting, Tyrolean civilians, Schutzen marching, Tyrolean characters, Tyrolean Schutzen skirmishing, Landstrom marching, and you get a series of casualties. You also get civilian weapons sets. There's 2 weapon sets to choose from. You also get cows and goats, because what would fighting in the Alps be without some mountain goats and some cows for you to have to deal with. You also get the Bavarians. In the Bavarians, you get Bavarian High Command, which is a mounted infantry officer plus General Red and General de Roy. Bavarian Light Infantry and Light Infantry Skirmishing, Bavarian Light Infantry Command, Schutzen Skirmishing, which are these are really nice miniatures. Bavarian Line and Light Infantry and Line and Light Infantry Command, and also a Bavarian 6-pounder foot artillery. You also get Bavarian Dragoons and Dragoon Commands plus artillery, and Bavarian Line Grenadiers Skirmishing. Now, since then, there has been added Bavarians in greatcoats, so they're worth checking out as well. That really is a fantastic range of miniatures. I would highly recommend that you check out Piano Wargames if you're looking at getting miniatures for either Bavaria, Austria, or Württemberg, also Hesse, Darmstadt, and Würzburg. I believe Piano Wargames is now working on a set of French. I don't know if they'll be released in a Kickstarter. I hope they are. If they are, I'll be jumping on that, because I find the Kickstarters really are good value for money. So I just wanted to let you know that these miniatures were available. Now, in my last review, I said I cured my Württemberg troops after I printed them. I cured them for 20 minutes. That was in the sun. I cure these current miniatures I've just printed. I now have a curing station, and I cure them for about 1.5 minutes, assuming it's a 28mm scale miniature. And I find that 1.5 minutes curing does a good job. Just so you know, I use a Anycubic Mono X4 printer, and I use resin that I source here in Australia called Monocure resin, which I've found to be very, very good. Monocure Rapid. Now I want to talk a little bit about some more Napoleonics, but this time in a smaller scale. These are only available as print files. I suspect there'll be people out there who will buy the commercial rights to them, and then maybe they'll pop up for you to be able to buy if you don't have a 3D printer. But if you do have a 3D printer, the good news is Henry Turner has released his 100 Days Kickstarter. Again, I did a review previously of some other Henry Turner miniatures. Predominantly, I was looking at his Europe Asunder Napoleonic range, his Napoleonic naval ships, and also the 100 Years War Kickstarter, which is obviously miniatures for the 100 years medieval warfare. I've jumped on this Kickstarter for the 100 days because I'm really keen to play Blucher in 6mm. Sam Mustafa's Blucher miniatures, Blucher rules, I think for grand tactical battles, I think they're probably the best rules out there. I haven't done a rules review of Blucher, but I'm sure there's plenty out there for you to have a look at. But suffice to say, if you want to play grand tactical battles, I'm talking about Waterloo on a 6x4 table, then Blucher is the way to go. Great set of rules by Sam Mustafa. And that's pretty much it. I'll just wrap it up there. I just want to let you know that Henry Turner had released the Kickstarter, and if the 100 Days campaign is your thing, or even the wars of liberation, because you in this Kickstarter there are the Prussian Landwehr troops that if you're going to do anything Napoleonic from 1813 onwards, you really want to have Prussian Landwehr. I just wanted to let you know, pardon me, that those Kickstarters are out there and they're live now.
Okay, so now let's just, again, I just want to elaborate on some of the advantages of 3D printing your own miniatures. We'll use the Piano Wargames miniatures as a good example. The STL files come, the miniature, pre-scaled to 28mm, but as you can see in this illustration here, these ones have been downscaled to 14mm, which I think is the new Warlord Games Epic scale size. Maybe it's 12, not too sure. I've downscaled from 28s to 18 to match my AB miniatures, and you really don't lose much in the way of detail at all. Let's now just look at how much are you going to pay for these. Well, if they're metal miniatures, if you purchase the metals from Piano Wargames Direct, you're going to pay roughly, well, you're going to pay about €2 for a foot miniature. An artillery piece firing with the crew of 4, you're looking at about €16.5. Mounted figures work out to be about €4.50 each, I think. The command sets, such as the Bavarian High Command set, Crown Prince Ludwig with an aide-de-camp and an infantry officer, that's €16. But obviously, you don't need that many command sets. But essentially, that's what you're going to be paying for the medals. If you're looking to buy STLs, you've got a couple of options. You can either buy single sets of infantry, and generally speaking, a single set of infantry will come in with about 6 infantrymen. So, 6 command figures, including a drummer, a couple of officers, or a couple of NCOs, and one or two standard bearers, or 6 line infantrymen. You're looking at about €10. But the advantage of that is, that's 6 miniatures, but you're going to be printing them. So you could pay €10 for the files of 6 infantrymen and print out 600. You can just print as many infantry as you want. It's still only going to cost you the €10 for the files, and then whatever you're going to have to pay for resin. So the more you produce, the cheaper it works out. There's even bigger bargains to be had if you buy bundles, for example. If you buy for example, the Bavarian Army bundle, you're looking at about €80. But with that, you'll get infantry command sets, infantry marching, infantry skirmishing, casualties, cavalry, artillery, gunners, high command, command groups, flank companies, and often you'll get a lot of other add-ons with that as well. I'll just give you an example. Let's have a look here. If I look at the Austrian bundle, for example, the Austrian Empire bundle, €80, and that comes with gunners that are loading and firing, casualties, dragoons, commanders, and line infantry, and Jaegers. So that's pretty comprehensive. I even think there's Landwehr amongst them as well. So there's a lot there. So anyway, I direct you to the website, and you go there and you'll find all the prices obviously listed, because obviously that's kind of pertinent information if you're going to buy their miniatures. The advantage again of 3D printed files, you get them instantaneously. There's no postage costs. You don't have to have miniatures packed up, and all those associated costs of packaging and postage that any retailer is going to add to make his profits or make his margins. You don't have to worry about that at all.
So that's pretty much it from me. I'll wrap it up there. Going forward, what I want to do next is I want to do a English Civil War battle report using the Baroque rules. I like the rules for the English. Well, it's basically for the late Renaissance period called Baroque. They're from the same rules writers that brought us Impetus and Basic Impetus 2. And they give a great game. But there's not much out there on YouTube, or I can't find anything anywhere actually where they show you how the game's played and whatnot. So I might do a bit of a review of the rules and a playthrough, maybe of an entire battle, or maybe just of a couple of turns, just so people can see the flow of the game and how it works. And other than that, well, there's lots of things happening in the wargaming world at the moment. General d'Armée version 2 will be released fairly soon, and I'm very, very keen to get my hands on that. I had no problems with the original version of General d'Armée. I think they're a fantastic set of rules. But apparently there's a even better version coming out, and so if you can improve on something that's good, then why wouldn't you? So I'm keen to get my hands on a copy of those rules as well. They should be available, should be released fairly soon. And then, of course, Chain of Command, the campaign books for the Pacific, and I think the Arnhem campaign. They're still coming. But the Pacific handbook can't be far away now. And I'll obviously, being a huge fan of Chain of Command, I'll be grabbing those books when they come out as well. So there's lots to look forward to. With that, I'll just wrap it up, and I'll say I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.